So back in 2005, I used to hear a lot of stuff like job market kharab hai. And then we reached 2010. And 2010 was somewhere around recession. So job market ka haal jo tha wo kharab hi tha. And then I reached 2015. I was probably somewhere in second year of my college. And I used to hear this from my seniors that job market ka haal bada kharab hai. Jobs nahi hai market mein. And then we reached 2020 and then COVID happened. And then we are right now in 2025. And the thing is that even now, we hear all of these terms. We hear layoffs. We hear that the job market is not so good. But if you look back 15, 20 years, or if you go back in the past, you will realize that the job market was never really stable. Maybe there was a time which existed before we were born. But as far as I can remember, I'm 30 right now. And as far as I can remember, most of the times the job market has been unstable. There have been layoffs every now and then. There have been technological shifts. But what we are seeing right now in 2025 till about 2030, we are going to see some dynamic shifts. We are going to see some shifts in the technological space, in the job market as a whole, which are going to be some shifts or some trends that we have not seen before. So just to set the record straight, this video is not going to be about trends and changes. This video is going to be about some timeless principles that you will be able to apply not just in 2025, but if you are watching this video in 2035, these principles are still going to hold true. And that is the purpose of this channel. We are not too much into the trends that are coming up, but we are more about the timeless principles, the evergreen principles that you can control, that you can apply. But let me give you a quick context about what is happening right now in 2025 and what we are going to see in till 2028 or 2030 as well. So number one is, of course, the AI and automation. So World Economic Forum ke hisab se, about 40% of the employers have admitted that they are planning to cut down on entry-level jobs. And why is that? Because a lot of the entry-level jobs are repetitive, and whenever a job is repetitive, it can be replaced by an AI or an AI agent. The thing is that it's not just the entry-level jobs. A lot of employers are now recognizing that जो भी middle managers हैं, for example, the people like me, people who are somewhere in the middle, not exactly a director or a CEO, but also not someone who is, at an entry level position. So people like me who are managers or senior level managers, they are also facing a threat because now they are demanding a fee or a consultancy fee or a salary, which is big. But at the same time, the employers are realizing that whatever they are doing, a lot of the chunk of their work can be replaced by AI as well, because at the end, a job is a stack of skills that can be replaced by a bot. At least most of the jobs for the knowledge worker is, because if you are in communications like me, if you are in marketing, if you are in sales, some chunk of your job is replaceable. Now that can be scary and that can be liberating as well. But what I believe is that the jobs are still going to be there because you need that human to human connection. It's just that your job is going to look in a different shape or form. The second trend that we are noticing in India is that the gig economy is on the rise. So about 7.7 million gig workers were there in 2020. This data is according to Niti Aayog, and it is projected to hit about 23 million by 2030. Now, of course, the gig economy definitely absorbs a lot of people, and they are able to, provide a little bit of income to a lot of gig workers. But the thing is that it's not very stable. There is a financial risk, there is a job risk, there is no safety net. You can lose it anytime. Now, healthcare and manufacturing are also increasing, but the rate of growth is still lower. The agriculture sector still remains the largest employer, which is worrisome for a country who would like to be competing with the developed countries, who would like to reach a $5 trillion economy mark. I think that is challenging. Now, according to IBEF, the healthcare sector alone is projected to add about 6 million jobs by 2030, but only if you have the right skills. It seems that the government is trying, but what I observe is that there are competitive exams, for example, SSC or BPSC, RPSC. There are some exams, but there are some paper leaks as well with these particular institutions. And because of these paper leaks, the exams get cancelled. A lot of the people, a huge chunk of youth is suffering because there are, even when there are vacancies, there are these leaks and the systems is not allowing them to succeed. Now, that is a paradox of India. There are lots of opportunities that can be there. There can be a lot of jobs that can be created, but people are confused. People are unemployed. People are underemployed as well. And simply people who are employed, who would like to go to the next level, they feel invisible or they feel confused. Now, in my opinion, the jobs have always existed. हमेशा jobs रही हैं और किसी न किसी shape or form में जॉब्स आपको देखने को मिलेंगी। हो सकता है कि आज आप जो काम कर रहे हैं वो फ्यूचर में शायद वो किसी और शेप और फॉर्म में दिखे, बट जॉब्स आर गोइंग टू एग्जिस्ट। लेट मी गिव यू अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट। अगर आप हिस्ट्री उठा के देखें तो ऑटोमेशन की वजह से बहुत सी जॉब्स गई भी थी, लेकिन बहुत सारी जॉब्स क्रिएट भी हुई थी। अगर आप ह्यूमन और एआई ऑगमेंटेशन को देखें, बिकॉज आई लुक एट आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस एज समवन as a tool who is going to work in collaboration with human, because even though AI agents exist and they can do a lot of work, but I think human element is still going to be there. So whenever human and AI augmentation is going to be there are going to be some opportunities that will exist. Now, even though some industries seem to be very slow, stagnating or dying, there are some opportunities or industries that are growing. For example, the green economy is a relatively new term. Care economy is a new term. Creator economy is another booming economy that you could be a part of if you would like. And then if you are really scared that AI is going to take up your job, AI is mostly applicable to the jobs where the tasks are repetitive. So if you look at the Indian curve, you know, what are the sectors that employ most of the people? You will still see agriculture at the top. Services sector is still holding a smaller percentage. And because there is a smaller percentage, there are a fewer people who are at risk of AI, I think, in India. But anyway, I think regardless of your job, you might be feeling, especially if you are reaching your 30s or if you are in your 30s, you might be feeling that you have spent a lot of time and work to produce something, to gain all those skill sets, to gain your degree and to gain the work experience. And now you realize that, okay, whatever I learned can be basically replaced by AI. So you feel that the ground under your feet is moving. But let me share something with you. I don't think that this is the lack of opportunities. I think this is the lack of alignment. So, for example, one of the examples that we see in India, a huge chunk of youth prepares for competitive exams, government job की तैयारी करना, सरकारी job की तैयारी करना, because वहाँ पर आपको एक वे पता है कि हाँ इस एग्जाम को क्रैक करेंगे तो ये पोजीशन मिल जाएगा, ये जॉब मिल जाएगा, उसके बाद लाइफ सेट हो जाएगी. सो यू नो दैट दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ प्रेडिक्टेबल पाथ. बट द थिंग इज दैट दिस competitive ecosystem is not may not be necessarily styled in your favor, because you are not operating in a silo. You are operating with different competitors, probably lakhs of people who are also operating in the ecosystem. In some case, this is kind of a zero-sum game. If you would like to learn more about zero-sum game, I can probably make a video on that separately. But I'm also thinking to maybe draft an article or like a blog post using my newsletter. So I'm going to be starting my newsletter. This is a segue, by the way. If you are interested in my newsletter, I'll be dropping a link in the description. आप वो newsletter को जाके subscribe कर सकते हैं. So I was talking about the government exams, right? So whenever you are preparing for these competitive exams, there are lakhs and lakhs of people who are also preparing with you. Now you are at the mercy of the number of vacancies and the number of participants or the competitors who are there in the ecosystem. After having several career clarity calls with people in their 20s and their 30s as well, I realized that people are trying to play the games that seem very fascinating and seem very colorful, vibrant on the outset, but may not be necessarily aligned with their strengths. So people kind of take their strengths for granted. I think especially in the age of AI, when we move forward, I think it's important to recognize what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what is your degree of adaptability, and whether you have built an opportunity engine. Let me talk about the solutions actually, because this video is not just about scaremongering. This video is about providing you the actionable solutions that you can apply from today onwards. Let me walk you through some of the solutions. Now, one solution that I have talked about in one of the video that I posted earlier this year is to conduct a 90-day career experiment. So what happens is that people like me who are in some sense multi-passionate, you could say, or they have multiple interests. So they like to latch on to different types of things. They like to try out different things. Maybe they are interested in art. Maybe they are interested in calligraphy. Maybe they are interested in content writing, content production. They are interested in music, so on and so forth, right? So rather than going from one point to another and not really gaining any expertise or not really gaining any depth or depthful understanding in one particular domain, you would have to conduct 90-day experiments throughout a year. Now, let's say you have picked up one adjacent part that you are curious about. It could be product management, it could be UX for AI tools, cybersecurity or healthcare, IT, whatever that is. Whatever you are curious about, you have to pick one thing, and then you have to dedicate about 3 to 5 hours per week for the next 90 days. Now, during these 3 to 5 hours, you are going to learn about that particular skill set. You are going to learn about that particular domain, that particular subject matter, and you are going to build something out of it. Now, a lot of people say that, you know what, I'm not actually working with a website design. or I'm not working in content, or I'm not working in, I'm not working in something that can be tangible. But I challenge you to think that how I can make this tangible. For example, let's say you are working in accounts, and accounts seem a little bit boring, and there is no particular solution on how you can maybe advertise this. At least I cannot think of it that way because I have not been in accounts. So what I would rather do, I would try to jot down the process of accounting, or maybe I would try to jot down the case studies that I have come across, or maybe I would jot down the learnings that I have into a blog post. So whatever I have, I would like to learn and then kind of synthesize that and share that in public. During these 3 to 5 hours that you spend in a week for 90 days, you could do freelancing, you could do volunteering, you could do internship, you could take up a project, you could do a side hustle. Whatever that is, you are going to decide that what you are going to do in the 90 days, and you are going to execute that. So by the end of these 90 days, you are going to do a scoring exercise, because we are not just going to kind of latch onto our vibes, and we are going to make it a little bit practical and a little bit scientific. So at the end, you are going to score yourself on 3 things. Number 1 is enjoyment, number 2 is market value, and number 3 is momentum. Let me share what it means. So number 1 is enjoyment. Did you actually like doing it? So there is no point if you are making, or if you would like to grow on YouTube and you are making YouTube videos, but you hate making YouTube videos, and there is no point being a YouTuber. Maybe there is a better way that you can go about it. So let's say you can score 1 if you dread it, if you felt like pulling your teeth. 3 if you are neutral about it, it is fine, but there is no spark. And if you were in a flow state, if you lost track of time, and if you would like to do that even if you are not paid, then you are going to score that 5. That means you are in the flow state. The second parameter is the market value. Did others see it as valuable? So for example, number 1, there was no demand. So let's say you shared it in public. Let's say you shared it on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever that is, or maybe you shared it amongst your network and no one cared. There was no response. Then you are going to write 1, no demand. 3 is going to be for some demand. So few people were interested. Maybe you got few likes, few clicks. There were some small signals, but you're not really sure about it. And then 5 is going to be very strong demand. So for example, let's say you shared a case study and you got some clients in exchange on LinkedIn. Maybe some recruiter approached you. Maybe some peer showed an interest, or maybe even you earned some dollars, or earned some rupees in exchange for that. Then there is a strong signal. There is a strong demand. So you are going to write 5, or you are going to score 5. The third parameter is momentum. So momentum is about, did it create new opportunities? You are going to score 1 if there were no follow-ups. You did not see any kind of next steps. You're going to score 3 if there was mild curiosity. So there were some conversations that happened. Maybe some other people reached out to you and had some conversations. Maybe there was a lead, but then it kind of stalled. The 5 is the flywheel. That is the highest score that you can get. So each step unlocked more projects. So for example, if you were leaning into, working in that particular internship, it led to more projects, or it led to more connections, or it led to recognition. Then we are going to mark it 5. That means that I had the highest momentum. Now, how do you know whether you would like to lean in, park it for later, or maybe you would like to discard it? So if you got 12 to 15 points, so you are going to scale it or score it or from a scale of 1 to 5, right? So at the end, you are going to add all the scores that you got from enjoyment, market value, and momentum. And then if you got 12 to 15 scores, or 12 to 15 points in total, then you are going to lean in. So this is something that is worth doubling down in. You are going to expand the experiment to a real pathway. If you got somewhere between 8 to 11 points, that means about 2.5 or 3.5 average for each question, then you are going to park it for later. So it seems promising. Maybe there is some scope in that, but it is not necessarily obvious yet. So you are going to keep it in your option bank while you kind of explore other options as well. And if this got about 8 points in total or below 8 points, then you are going to discard it. This is not right now a fit, and you can move on guilt-free. The test did its job by saving you years of guesswork. So the point of this test is basically not just have those ideas or those curiosities in your mind. The point is that you convert them and make them real into real world. So that is why these 90-day sprint or 90-day run, so that you can kind of do those experiments, see what is the signal, and then lean in, discard, or kind of park it for later. So I assure you that if you did this for, let's say, about a year, so within a year, how many 90 days do you think there are? Comment down below. I cannot actually do that thinking in my mind. I'm really bad at maths. But let me know how many 90 days are there. Are there 4 90 days, 4 sets of 90 days? So you will learn more in these 90 days than you would have done by just 3 years of thinking. that, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this and I really like this. Let me try this out for a week. Oh no, it didn't really work out. Someday I posted this on Substack, but it didn't work out. So I kind of discarded it. But then you only posted 2 blog posts, so you are not going to really notice any result. But these 90-day sprints are basically going to allow you to, convert your thought process into real life substance or real life projects. And that is what we need. That is the clarity that we have designed for ourselves, and that is more valuable than just thinking around. Once again, I'm requesting you to consider subscribing to my newsletter. The link is down in the description. I will be sharing more in-depth similar content if you like this one. The second solution is to engineer visibility and not just the output. So a lot of people feel, or this is a traditional advice, that if you just work hard, then the opportunities are going to come. It does not work in 2025, and it is not going to work in the future either. So if you can engineer visibility along with the outputs, then you will be in a great position. So what I see within the IT and within freelance, a lot of business owners, there are a lot of competent people out there, but they are kind of scared to put themselves out there, and they are invisible. And because they are invisible, they are not really getting the opportunities that they deserve. So how about if you started putting out the proof of work in front of the world? So you can choose platforms like LinkedIn, you can choose GitHub if you are into coding, you can choose Behance if you are into design, and if you can even choose YouTube to put across your work. So YouTube is not necessarily about vlogging or entertainment or, these kind of educational videos, but YouTube can also be about your case studies. I've seen wonderful case studies of a lot of freelancers. I've seen wonderful case studies of a lot of motion designers, video editors that are present here on LinkedIn, and their channel is not necessarily about YouTube growth. Their channel is just about showcasing their work so that they can attract the leads, and they are able to do that very well. So think about how you can engineer that visibility. And it is not just about, posting the content, because posting content, that kind of becomes static. So what if you start getting a little bit more tactical about it? So for example, let's say you have done a project. So rather than just about posting the project, you also post a case study of how you build that particular project. So this is what I did. This is the hypothesis. This is what we were trying to do. And this is the result. That is far more valuable to the recruiters or the clients that you would like to attract than just a LinkedIn profile which is empty. The good thing about visibility or this personal branding thing, I actually hate the the concept of personal branding, because people think that this is just about posting yourself or posting about yourself or bragging about yourself. But I think it is far more deeper. Personal branding is less about the optics and more about the value that you would like to offer. So if you are building that, if you are building visibility on these specific platforms, or if you are reaching out to people, let's say, this will slowly compound, and it will come to a position where the flywheel has become so strong, the momentum is so huge that you will start getting all those emails and all those DMs in the LinkedIn or your email asking you to work for them. The third solution is to build an opportunity engine. And I think we need to think about jobs or career in such a way that we are not necessarily chasing jobs. I think an ideal position to reach in your career is going to be when you are working, obviously, and you are putting out content and you are making connections, but you do not have to chase opportunities. The opportunities are coming to you. They are landing in your inbox. They are landing in your DMs. And that will happen if you are building an opportunity engine for yourself. So how do you build that? You build that by following 3 Ps. Now, these 3 Ps are a little bit different. So earlier I've talked about personality, I've talked about publicity, I've talked about proficiency. Of course, you do need that in order to build opportunity engine. But if you would like to make that into more actionable stuff, then you are going to follow these 3 Ps. Number 1 is people. So write down 20 people that you really respect within your industry. It could be beyond your industry as well. They are within your industry. Now, write their names down and write down whether they are on LinkedIn. They're probably on LinkedIn. So every week, write one thoughtful message to one person and reach out to them. Ask them questions about their past. Ask them questions about their career, about their story. Huge props if they are already sharing some breadcrumbs, about their stories via blog post, via Substack, via content. So you can latch onto them and you can ask thoughtful questions. Believe me, a lot of the people are not really getting thoughtful questions. It actually becomes really easy to stand out if you're just thoughtful about your question. I'm happy to have a separate video about, how do you really draft nice questions, how you draft meaningful and thoughtful questions. But you have to think about how can you thoughtfully ask a question that makes them feel good about themselves. So that is one. Write down 20 people that you really respect and admire and reach out to them one by one every week. Now, the point of doing this particular exercise is to build connections, is to be curious about their lives and to learn about their specific industry. Props to you if they are specifically within your industry with these 20 people so that you learn more about your industry. The point here, once again, is not about asking for opportunities. A lot of people would just jump in my DMs and my inbox and say that, hey boss, could you give me a video editing job or could you give me a thumbnail designer job? I don't even know you. And the cold DM process rarely works for me unless I really know you, unless there is a mutual connection. So that is also true for a lot of people because there is a risk factor if I have to kind of appoint someone who is a stranger to me. So you have to kind of break the ice in the starting. You kind of have to be on a similar level or a similar frequency if you would like to connect with them. And a good way to start that is to not by asking opportunities and hey, could you give me this job? Hey, could you give me this freelance gig? It's not about that. It's about asking some questions and just being curious about their life. The second P is projects. I already talked about this earlier in this video, but if you are able to launch tiny projects which are public, so if you are building in public, it could be a free resource, it could be a blog post, it could be a case study, it could be a newsletter. The point is that these projects are going to show your thought process. And if these projects are good, they are going to act as opportunity magnets, right? So they are going to work for you even if you are sleeping. And this is what we want to do. If you have these high quality projects on your LinkedIn, on your website, on your newsletter, on your YouTube, whatever the platform you have chosen, it will allow others to find about you, find about who you are or your work, and then they will be able to reach out to you. The third P is patterns. Now, pattern finding is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be a highly valuable skill that will work on two levels. So I think what is being right now talked about is pattern finding amongst the industry or amongst the world. So whatever is happening in the world, let's say, creator economy is booming. So we are seeing more and more creators coming up into the scene. So that is one pattern, let's say. But then if you go a little bit deeper into the YouTube ecosystem within the creator economy, you will notice that there are certain types of videos that exist right now, which are more on the side of comfort creators. I'm trying to be a comfort creator by not over editing my videos, but then at the same time, you will see over edited videos, which also have a target demographic as well. So you kind of have to understand that what are the patterns in your specific industry, what is happening in your industry right now. If you are able to recognize those patterns, then you are able to kind of tap into those particular opportunities wherever they exist. That is level 1 of pattern finding. I think level 2 of pattern finding is even more important, far more important than just trying to analyze the patterns that exist in the world. And the level 2 of pattern finding is about finding patterns amongst yourself. So if you are able to understand that what energizes you, what kind of projects you like to work on, what kind of work environment is there where you would like to thrive or where you can thrive, what kind of people you like to work with, what kind of topics do you think they are gravitating you towards them, what kind of books do you like, what kind of movies do you watch, what kind of posts do you feel that you are saving them in your Instagram account every now and then. So once you start analyzing the pattern of yourself, because you are a unique person who has never existed in the history of this world, right? So if you are able to analyze that what you are uniquely qualified to do, then you will be in a position where you will be able to demand an income which is far more than what you had already imagined in a job setup or a business setup. So if you are able to analyze, deeply deconstruct who you exactly are and where you thrive and what are your weaknesses, then you would be able to thrive in a world that is changing every now and then. And this is specifically what I would like you to take away from this video. I think the job market is always changing. There are always going to be layoffs. The media is always going to be, fearmonger you. They are going to, or even social media, you are going to see that, there have been so many layoffs because loss aversion or fear marketing basically sells, and that is why people like to do that. It is possible that I also do that in my content. I'd like to avoid that as much as I possibly can, but the thesis or the underlying thesis of my videos is basically to share something which is within your control. Again, going back to the locus of control that I talked about earlier in my videos. But I think the point is that if you are able to understand who you are, then you will be able to conquer the career game. I think it is doable. I think even if AI comes along, even if these technological shifts come along, if you truly understand yourself, if you are able to adapt, if you are flexible, if you have this opportunity engine and you have the clarity that what you would like to do, I think you become unbeatable. Now, I just talked about clarity, and the thing is that a lot of advice out there on Instagram, on YouTube, on internet in general, this advice is basically your enemy, because this is like a cult of advice. Someone is saying that, you should wake up at 5 a.m. and someone is saying that you should go on a marathon. Someone is saying you should build a six-pack abs, and someone is saying that you should do content. So there is so much of advice, and you don't really know that what is right for you or what is wrong for you. And the thing is that all of this cult of advice is basically making you poor. It is making you broke. If you would like to escape this cult of advice, I recently made a video. It's not very recent. I think it's been a month. I will link that over here. You can watch that video, and I will see you next time.